Therefore, with these three things that we carried, I want to give you a quick account of what we gained, what we got as feedback on this roadshow. First, in London, 180 people in the food retail sector, equity fund sector, energy sector, agricultural financing sector, they gathered for Uganda's export efforts. And I thank God for that people can gather in winter with all the medical checks and everything and be able to listen to the story of Uganda. For example, we met one of the founders of the first Islamic bank in the UK. I think his name is Kaiser Wahid. We met him, he's a former manager at Citibank and HSBC. He agreed to work with us, our committee and Ugandans, on a financial summit that is specific for Uganda, either in Qatar or Riyadh next year, and coordinate it very well with the Bloomberg Business TV to focus our efforts on creating a sinking fund for mineral beneficiation, for agricultural exports, for processing, and for industrial parks. I thank God for all these things coming together slowly but surely. In the US, I met a brother who we appointed a trade representative. His name is Olivier Kamanzi. Olivier Kamanzi. He's our trade representative. Him together with a wonderful Ugandan lady called Henrietta Nairuba Wamala, wonderful sister of mine. They gathered 200 people for the first Uganda-US summit in Chicago. It's never happened before to get Chicago off-takers, finance people, companies, and Ugandan 26 companies in one room with our head of state, 2 days, 2 to 3 days, and really speak Uganda to these markets. Mr. Kamanzi has agreed to use his experience at the Africa Chamber of Commerce, which he heads, to build a fund for exporters to the US and to work with Americans so we can build interest for Uganda. The president has promised government will match this fund depending on what is raised outside. And if the fund, mark this, if the fund, and I agree with the president on this, if the fund will be managed under corporate governance rules that create trust and transparency. In the same spirit, we met the leaders of the Trade Development Bank. It's the biggest, one of the biggest banks on trade in Africa, headquartered in Kenya. We met the leaders of Equity Bank, Dr. Mwangi. Both of them asked us to present an industrial export park master plan for support if companies are ready to do that. They both have in the region of $5 billion for trade and investment in agri-parks within the region. The Invest Africa institution that helped us in DC to organize these hedge fund meetings, in March next year, they will bring us 30 people to continue and actualize the commitments made in energy, in agriculture, and real estate. Invest Africa asked Uganda to prepare a robust environmental, social, and governance, or what they call ESG, infrastructure on top of the traditional commercial incentives which Uganda gives to investors. I have to tell you that whenever I meet these wonderful friends of Uganda, I try and get a 360 degree of who they are. So for example, Olivier Kamanzi, we went to his church, a beautiful, Gothic, nice, old building Catholic church, where a gentleman, a father, Reverend Father Michael Fletcher, the church is called St. Sabina, and it's on the south side, what they call the south side in Chicago, where President Obama did his community mobilization that brought him into politics. And wonderful to see African Americans, 10 times my size, tall, large, worshiping, praising. You wouldn't think that there'd be dance and vibrancy in a traditional Catholic church, but African Americans, wherever they go, they carry dance, they carry jazz, they carry energy, they carry charisma. So I was happy to watch our trade representative in this session, because when I know your spirit, then I have known you in the physical space, then I know your heart, then we can work with you. Second achievement, that was first achievement I mentioned. Second achievement as feedback is that in the city of Aurora, that's how it's pronounced, we found a great opportunity for storage and distribution of Ugandan products. The city is gentrifying. Gentrification is getting a city that used to be a coal city or a mining town, Now it is changing, it's becoming an IT town and buildings are coming up. So Sita is gentrifying and it still has a low-cost warehousing. We met Governor Richard Ilvin, his energy levels intoxicating. As Ugandans, we felt a sense of warmth with him and his town of 180,000 people, which has an average per capita income of $100,000. Endiro Coffee, the beautiful coffee company that they are going to do something here with us, here at our warehouse, to put up a coffee place. I have been in almost all their locations in the country. Endiro Coffee has been our trailblazer. They are here. We found them in Aurora. And we want to work with them, work hard to piggyback on their efforts to bring finished products to the US and AGOA in the Midwest. We truly can use their certification, their insurance, their experience to bring Toke, Sim Sim, more Ugandan coffee brands, and even roast coffee beans there and sell there. Sell more chocolate from Bundibujo, more casein and milk powder from Mbarara and other places, fish from Lake Victoria and other locations, vanilla. Endiro wonderfully supplied all our summits with both coffee and the chocolate that I spoke about from Latitude, and they made Uganda proud in that 1 week. We tasked the trade representative in that area, Mr. Kamanzi, and the indefatigable Henrietta Nairuba, who heads the North American Uganda Association, to develop a distribution plan, because without distribution, businesses, you know, you can't sell. A distribution plan with an 0800 number, which is common in the US, so that we can deploy a resource there to help them and see if we can have an uptake of Ugandan products there. Achievement number 3 is that we found very good business prospects for the tourism sector from the cities of Atlanta and Annapolis. Annapolis is east in New York side, off Washington side. Atlanta is in the south. Now, one of the key people who attended our Chicago summit agreed to use his influence to push private American procurement officials to allow the distribution of coffee from Uganda in, guess what, 6,800 hotels using the Marriott Hotel partnership. What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. If we can take a cup of coffee every morning to these hotels, our brands will get to be known and understood, because we have the best coffee from, I know Bugisu AA from Sironko, you know those Devasedan that are my brothers and sisters who grow the best coffee, but when it gets to the international market, they call it Italian. I recorded a short video on Delta, you know, Italian coffee. You know, this is Ugandan coffee, only blended with other blends and presented as non-Ugandan. So wonderful if we can get into 6,800 hotels every day and sell our coffee. This is huge contribution to Uganda's export efforts. And this gentleman, what's more, he wants to invest in the game park lodges, to build a private hospitality training school, to drive premium tourist standards. I could just jump on him and give him a hug. It's a great bonus for a country if that can be done. We also got interest from the Bailey American family, an African-American family called the Baileys, asking to buy into the dried mango fruit factories in Uganda. We got a request for IT exports from and to Uganda. We got a willingness to buy 1,000 leather bags from Uganda. There's a wonderful young lady called Agnes, who I met with Susan Mwezi, but we've worked with her under PSFU. She sells these very well done leather bags from Uganda. So there are orders coming to her out of these summits. There was a grain contact we got from Colorado. They are planning an MOU to import Ugandan grains for their breakfast cereals into the US. There was signing of a coffee supply contract to the Balkans by one of the young people in the coffee sector, because the Balkans is opening up next June. Thank God we found a man there called Bratislav Stojkovic, who flew, you can't believe this, flew from Belgrade to be with the president in London, flew to Chicago and spent 3 days with us, drove to Aurora to understand how we are doing this. God is giving Uganda the best of people, and I can't thank him enough, and I can't thank enough the team that I'm working with. So there are many opportunities I cannot list here, but that's a start. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
I'd like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.